Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the latest in the Kaiko Systems webinar series. My name is Taz Bachu, and I'm going to be your host for the next 50 minutes. We're joined by two members of the Kaiko Systems team, Nick Vaughan and Rodion Popkov. Nick has been with the organisation now for just over 3 years and has an extensive background in the maritime industry, having worked at Lloyd's Register for just over 12 years, doing everything from new builds, class reporting, and managing their digital solution. He's currently at Kaiko Systems as our head of maritime. We're also joined by Rod. Rod is a product manager at Kaiko Systems and has been here for just under 1 year. He leads initiatives in data visualization and AI, and in his previous lives, he's founded 2 organizations, has extensive experience over 10 years in the fintech space, and has lived in 5 different companies. Both Rod and Nick are currently based in Berlin, and I join you from London. Welcome to our webinar on Kai, a new way to use artificial intelligence in shipping. And this is probably one of the most exciting developments we've had the opportunity to speak about this year. And Kai is Kaiko Systems' new artificial intelligence, which effectively is the first AI-powered maritime worker in the world. To kick things off, I think I might throw a question to Nick. I'm really ask, can you elaborate a little bit more on what drove us to develop Kai and what problems Kai solve?
Yeah, sure. So this was really developed after extensive discussions with our customers and looking at the kind of data set that we've started to collect. So one of the key challenges that we identified was that somewhere between 65 and 75% of technical superintendents' time is taken up with routine tasks. We're talking about emails, back and forth, chasing information, filling out reports. And these are really all tasks that don't require a high level of expertise. These kind of routine jobs could really be done by someone less qualified and effectively lower cost in the office. And that would really allow the superintendents to focus their time really on value-added tasks. So, the really important things that they're employed for, that they need their extensive expertise for. So whether it's, troubleshooting, but also more of the longer term strategic thinking and planning that really requires more of their time and more of their energy to ensure that not only are the vessels effectively and efficiently managed, but, there's less surprises, less off hire, and they can really ensure that everything is delivered kind of on time and within budget. And really at the same time, these superintendents are working with thousands of data points. If we look at all of the information that's provided from the vessels, and when you look at this kind of volume of information, it's really easy to miss something critical. There's a huge amount of information being passed, and there's a huge amount of tasks that they need to deal with. And really, this is where AI can step in and allow a kind of first set of eyes on this information to either highlight the critical information to the superintendent and really focus their attention on that, but also maybe to highlight things that may have been overlooked by human eyes. And that's a really powerful tool that gives the superintendents kind of an additional level of insight, an additional assistant, and really makes it possible for them to kind of capture every detail that's found, and then make important decisions and actions off the back of that.
And I think it's probably worth stressing that kind of additional level of insight and that additional kind of pair of eyes on that data. And I think something that we've spoken about internally is it also provides the opportunity for organizations to kind of gain that competitive edge and really kind of drive data forwards. So I guess, what we want to talk about more is how Kai addresses some of those issues that Nick has raised, but also what specific tasks Kai itself can take over. Rod, are you able to kind of give a bit of an insight into the nuts and bolts behind Kai?
Yeah, hello everyone. So it's actually very easy. So Kai reviews everything that's submitted by crew members. So he reviews everything first, and you have kind of already analytics on what your crew sent to your company, to your back office. And he reviews all documents first. He analyzed the plausibility, if the report was really performed, filled out, did they perform real actions to take all the pictures, all the new pictures not previously taken, all of this stuff, so you can have a clear picture on plausibility of the report. This is the first thing. The next thing, he reviews each picture submitted by crew member. So, and he performs analytics based on that, and he have a justification why he thinks that this rating is correct or incorrect. This is what Kai basically do. And as well, he is kind of, you can think of him like a master of Photoshop. He can work with every single picture, provided typically they are not very good enough, and he do color correction for each picture submitted by crew members and enable you you don't have to spend a lot of efforts reading these dark blurry pictures. He will do his best just to enable to make this picture shine for you. So you don't have to spend time on dealing with poor pictures from crew. We will show it today. It's better to see than speak about it. So 3 things.
Amazing. Thanks, Rod. And I think, really important to kind of stress that those routine tasks that those superintendents really take on board as part of their day-to-day, Kai is able to automate those and really provide a data set that's easy to understand and act upon, and allowing, as Nick and both Rod have alluded to, those technical superintendents to really focus on making those informed decisions about the most critical issues on board as well. So for those of you that don't know Kaiko Systems, we actually have been rolled out and implemented on a fleet of over 1,000 vessels globally. Now, this is made up of a number of different organizations. And those organizations have been paramount in helping us kind of look at some of the use cases for Kai and really, in some instances, road test and trial Kai at sea. So Nick, could you give us an example of how Kai is used in practice?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a really important point to stress here, that this has been sort of developed in conjunction with our customers. So looking at real life use cases, this isn't kind of just an application of AI for the sake of it, but really seeing where already in the kind of structured process we have, could we implement something to further enhance not only the offering to our customers, but improve the lives for the TSI and make them able to work more efficiently and more effectively. And a couple of really good examples of that are, for instance, water ballast tank inspections and main deck inspections. So we're looking at inspections of large structural elements of the vessels, really critical inspections. They take a large amount of time by the crew to complete them correctly, and in completing these inspections, collect a large amount of data. So be this pictures, observations, information about the condition of the vessel. And what Kai is able to do is review individually each one of these inspection points. So taking into account not only the pictures that were taken, so the visual information, but also all of the additional information that's provided by the crew, be that in observations, text, etc., to further describe what they found on board. So as Rod mentioned, we can run plausibility checks on this information that's submitted. So, has the inspection been completed as you would expect? Or have the crew kind of sat there in the accommodation and kind of just ticked through boxes, which is obviously something you want to be alerted to. But when we look at that kind of next level, by reviewing all of the pictures and providing all of this information, this saves the TSI hours of manual work. Where they would be having to review individual data point and look through this. And Kai is able to provide immediate insights to the superintendent. So give a summary at a high level about the condition of the kind of element or tank as a whole, for example, but then enable them to look at individual inspections and provide more detailed summaries of what's found, but also for actions that could be taken, both to solve any issues, but also preventative actions in the future to prevent these issues occurring again.
Brilliant. And I think, from our experience, we know that some of the most stretched superintendents perhaps spend 8 to 12 hours on board a vessel and then have to compile a report for owners. And I think, Nick, what you've mentioned is that, Kai can actually save these superintendents quite a lot of time. I think, Rod, developing Kai and actually looking at how the product's evolved over over the last few months of development. Can you maybe give some indication into how much time this new feature within Kaiko Systems can actually save the end user?
Yeah, so thank you for this question. So for me, it's very simple. Yes, technical superintendents, they visit vessels twice a year, yes, but in between they rely on crew reporting. They have to review it because each managing companies, they set up a kind of their own rule, what should be inspected when, and you have to pay attention on that because to plan a next vessel maintenance activities, yes, to do all the stuff, you need to review these reports somehow. And if you can do it, just sitting in the morning, taking your first cup of coffee, it's super easy when you have all the information summarized, analyzed, and you can make all the actionable decisions just in the morning for all vessels. It's super easy. It's all about saving the time, yes, because this is the most valuable resource in our days. And simply as we know that technical superintendents, they are super busy people. They don't have time to analyze everything. It can be done by technical superintendent assistant, and it doesn't matter if they are real or artificial nowadays. This is what kind of the main intent is all about time, yes. So it's super easy. We will show you.
Amazing. And yeah, as Rod alluded to, there will be a product demo in a few minutes. So Kaiko Systems' kind of mission and vision is to really kind of lead maritime into an era of fact-driven operations where AI-enriched data allows professionals to collaborate at eye level, fostering total safety and performance. And I think Kai links directly into this in terms of addressing one of the key challenges that a number of kind of ship owners and managers face on a day-to-day basis. And that really is kind of ensuring consistency across multiple inspections, multiple regulatory checks across an often very dispersed fleet. How does Kai help with that? And I think this is probably a question to both of you. Looking at the need for those kind of interconnected communications, a good level of visibility and a standardization of data collection and data points across a fleet. How can Kai help with that?
So I'm happy to pick this question first. So this kind of one of our initial intents that we had designed in Kai. So basically, it analyzes just pictures. Yes, he made his decisions, his assessment, without taking into consideration all obstacles crew members have or you have as a technical superintendent. He don't care about your budget operations. He don't care about what the type of the vessel. He simply do his job. He independently evaluate, estimate, audit everything what you have on your vessel. And basically, it's help companies to harmonize the assessment because for some vessels they might have more critique, I don't know, stuff as crew members, and they assess a more alarming way. But some crew members, they have a tendency to kind of to hide issues, to say everything is fine, it's not a problem, we will kind of fix everything. And you need to kind of align what is your real priority. It's not just reported priorities. You have to make informative decisions when you have this difference between Kai and crew members assessment. You can navigate through that through different vessels. So this is our kind of key one of point that Kai don't care about who you are, what is your vessel, what is your budget, what is your limits. He simply do his job assessment without taking into account any obstacles.
Yeah, and I think probably to expand upon that, I think the two really important elements here are kind of objectivity and also an element of expertise as well. So if we look at the objectivity element, this is, as Rod mentioned, trying to provide a standardized set of kind of reporting and criteria. So in terms of what the issues are and what the follow-ups or actions should be. So that's unified across your fleet, independent of crew, independent of the superintendent's experience, etc. And that can then be further supplemented on the expertise front because each superintendent is an individual. They have their experience based on their background, maybe when they sailed at sea, what vessel types they sailed on, maybe what issues they've dealt with in the past. But when you really think about the level of assessment that's required, there's also elements where you maybe want to have a painting expert, a coatings expert, a steelworks expert, and it's very unrealistic to imagine that this is one human sat in a room. And that's what we tried to provide with Kai as a technical assistant. It has all of these levels of expertise rolled into one, allowing them to critically assess all of these individual elements and provide actionable insights for your superintendent. So they don't need to have done all of these dockings before, or maybe they haven't done large amounts of steelwork or coating repairs, but enabling the Kai superintendent or assistant to provide these additional insights based on these levels of expertise, I think allows the superintendent to make more objective and informed decisions.
I think that kind of lets me jump into a question that we've been asked. So something that we've had through the chat is how is the AI module trained? With experience from the actual users or already predefined by your internal knowledge?
So I can pick this question. So basically, how we design Kai. So Kai is capable because we do the setup for our system. We know which area we inspect. We know which criteria should be applied for assessment for each particular item, for which particular area. And we see how Kai performs. We see it on scale, kind of. On 80% cases, his estimation and Q estimation are equal. So we don't see a big difference. So he is already doing a great job, but in 20% cases, something around that, we see the difference. And if the difference is valuable, we highlight it. If we see that he is doing a mistake, we have kind of a button for you to provide feedback for us, and we review all the assessment results on our side, and we see if he underperforms somewhere. We modify him to make more precise judgments for each particular area. So basically, it's designed in the way to have this constant learning possibility. So we are aiming not just deliver an ordinary technical superintendent assistant. We believe that maybe in half year or a couple of years, he will be outperformed most of professional technical superintendents, because he will have so much knowledge, insight, so clear assessment criteria for everything your item on your vessel, that it would be enough for any company in the world. It will outperform. So it's not just learning; it's already almost equal. It will overbeat. This is what I really believe.
That's yeah, a really cool response, and I think a really cool kind of prediction for the next few years. And I think it's worth maybe just pulling out some of the salient points from Rod's response to kind of highlight that Kai is that dynamic system that really allows AI to shine. And our ambition and our aim as an organization is not to kind of create a static repository of information. We appreciate that certainly within shipping and maritime, regulation, compliance, and industry standards are constantly changing. And so our AI module will evolve with that, and it will change with that as well. I think another question that I'd like to ask is about customization. So we've spoken about kind of what the basic premise of Kai is, how Kai learns and how Kai will evolve over time, particularly with an individual fleet, but also across all of the fleets that it's deployed upon. Can Kai be customized to specific requirements, or is it a one-size-fits-all solution?
So I want to pick this one. So basically, yes, some level of customization is possible, but we aim to achieve kind of a next level of objectivity, yes. Because if a company wants a customization, it's always a signal that maybe its companies or either super unique, either it has own kind of blind spots or something like that. So we carefully analyze. We don't want a single customer to impact on Kai too strong. But for specific areas, if a company has something in mind, own procedures that outperform our understanding, and we see it, of course, we will apply kind of their knowledge, because it's really kind of many of instructions for Kai written in human language, and we can work with this human language. We can change instructions and apply this particular criteria for Kai, and he will follow this criteria. And this level of customization is possible for companies. But again, we want to kind of to collect all both best practices in Kai to make kind of it's to create a state-of-art artificial intelligence for maritime industry, because kind of outperform everything. This is our goal. But customization is possible.
Thanks, Rod. And I think before we jump into the product demo, I think Nick, I'll throw this one to you. What do you think the impact of a tool such as Kai will be on the maritime industry, and what do you think this kind of says to the future of the industry as well?
Yeah, so I think Kai is going to have a significant impact. And it's not just about time saving, but it's really about improving the accuracy and efficiency of the whole inspection process. I think by now these inspection processes on board are very well established. There's a set of procedures that need to be followed. There's a set of data that needs to be collected. And I think this is really about elevating that to the next level in terms of the analysis, insights, next steps in terms of actions, both, solving problems, but also preventing them happening in the future. And ultimately, it's about allowing superintendents to make more informed decisions, processing these huge amounts of data more efficiently, analyzing the pictures so that they can really focus on the areas where their attention is needed most, and provide a level of consistency across the fleet as well. So we're looking at things like reducing human error, ultimately optimizing your operations, so reducing downtime, reducing unexpected issues, off hire, etc. And if we look at it on a human level, making the life of the TSI much easier, allowing them to do their job more efficiently, focus on the tasks where they can provide the most value.
Amazing. And I think it's probably at this juncture that we should stop talking about it, I think, and actually show Kai and show what it does. So I know that Nick and Rod will start sharing their screen and start showing the live demo. Whilst they get that kind of set up and get that ready to go, just a couple of points. Please do continue to use the question and answer button on the screen in front of you. We can see all of your questions coming through, and at the right moment and at opportune moments, I will be interjecting and asking those questions of Rod and Nick as well. And there will be an opportunity toward the end to ask a few more detailed questions, particularly about the demo and what you have seen so far. So without further ado, I think I'll hand over to Nick.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Taz. So I think, as we mentioned, it's kind of pictures worth 1,000 words. So it's much clearer, I think, being able to show you the power of Kai rather than just talking about it. But maybe before we jump into the specifics of Kai, I think it's good to kind of just provide a quick refresher in terms of, what data Kai is being applied to. So we alluded to that in the conversation we just had, looking at these areas of inspection, like ballast tank inspections, main deck inspections, and allowing Kai to kind of analyze this very detailed information. So if we look at where the data comes from, the crew are using the mobile app on board to carry out these structured inspections on a routine basis. They're collecting all of the required information in the form of photos, text, observations, etc. So providing this really rich data set, and it's this data set that's provided at scale. So if we look at the main deck inspection, the deck is broken down into different areas that could be inspected, be this on a monthly, 3 monthly, 6 monthly basis, etc. But if we look at more complex areas like the ballast tanks, again, we break these large structural spaces down into smaller areas that are structured in a way that the crew can complete their inspection and try and report objectively on the condition of that area so that the shore team can make a kind of independent assessment of the condition and the next steps. And what you see in front of you is the visualization of that. So in this demo vessel, the inspections have already been completed on board using the mobile device. So all of this data was collected offline by the crew and then uploaded to the cloud. And then immediately as the shore team, you can log into our web-based dashboard and immediately have this very visual overview. So already we provide an interface where it's easy for you to identify any issues on board the vessel and really focus your attention. So we use a traffic light system, green, orange, red, to give you that immediate visual indication. And therefore, from here, you can really focus on the areas that would require your further investigation and look at the kind of actions that need to be taken. So from this visual overview, we can also see the very detailed overview of the pictures themselves. So there's information for each one of the areas. And this is really the data that Kai is then kind of applied to. And we can jump into a couple of examples that really highlight the power and the additional insights that Kai can provide. So if we're looking particularly at a ballast tank, we can look here at an inspection result that was provided by the crew. So we're looking at a number 5 water ballast tank on the port side, the first stringer between frames 69 and 70. And we can see from the information that was provided by the crew that it's a relatively poor image. It's quite hard to identify anything here. The crew have rated it as a 4 and haven't given any observations. So there's no further information that's been provided by the crew. And I think from this information provided, it's quite hard to make a really, let's say, objective assessment of the condition or the next steps. And the first thing Kai can do is to enhance that image. So make it easier for the shore team to really see in more detail what's actually the condition. And you can immediately see here with the image enhancement from Kai that it's possible to identify some corrosion on the longitudinals on the underdeck here, which wasn't visible in the original image. So immediately with this enhanced image by Kai, we can just see for ourselves, okay, what else is happening here? Are there any issues that might require action? But it's not just about what you can see, it's also about what Kai is doing in the background. So Kai has already run a full assessment on the information that was provided and can already indicate the issues that are identified. So here we can see Kai is telling us there's moderate corrosion indicated by dark spots on the metal surface, and that this is potentially compromising the protective coating, So this breakdown of coating in the ballast tanks, which as we know, over time can become larger issues and ultimately result in much more extensive work required at dry docking, etc. So not only do we provide a summary of the issues from Kai, but also Kai's giving you the preventative actions here. So explaining, okay, the next steps that you could take. So inspecting and repairing the protective coating, conduct thorough cleaning to remove any contaminations, and to monitor these areas so that any issues can be addressed promptly. And we can add another level of information here, and this shows you the extent to which Kai is really analyzing this information. So breaking it down into the risks, areas of concern, and as we said, providing actionable insights, so these suggested actions. And then even at another level, breaking it down to the different areas of concern. So as Rod said, this is kind of tailored to the different inspection types. Here we're looking at ballast tank inspection, so very much focused on structural condition, coating condition, steel condition, etc. So focusing on these areas of, for instance, corrosion, pitting, cracks and damage, cleanliness. And as we can see here, this is the unique field, let's say, where Kai or the AI is really looking at the area that is most relevant here. So here, ballast tanks, coating condition. And you can see for each of these areas that Kai is providing an objective rating or assessment, based on this objective criteria for the tank. And that allows us to then compare the rating that was given by the crew. So we can see here crew rating of 4 with no observations with the Kai rating. So at the highest level, you can just compare these ratings. Let's say Kai's objective rating versus a rating from the crew. And then when you want more information to understand why Kai is giving this rating and also what the potential next steps and actions could be, you have this full summary underneath. So really providing actionable insights, recommendations, and as we said, the next steps and also preventative actions. And I think it's worth mentioning here, as Rod mentioned, this is constantly learning. So you also have the opportunity to rate. So rate the image enhancement and rate the analysis. So this is where you can also provide this feedback and the model can learn and continuously improve. So we are using this obviously internally at the moment and using this to train. But obviously once this is live on your fleet, you can also provide this feedback as well to further enhance the model and the analysis on future assessments. So this gives you kind of one example, highlighting issues that maybe wouldn't be possible to identify from the information provided, providing that in-depth summary, and then a summary of the actions. Again, if we look at another few inspections, we can see it's not only about highlighting issues that weren't identified. As Rod mentioned, I think in 80% roughly of cases, there's kind of alignment between the ratings from the crew and the information provided and the assessment from Kai. And this gives you another example. But again, we can see from a poor quality image, it's hard for a superintendent based on this data set to, again, have this independent assessment. So again, by providing the image enhancement, we can already see the condition here much more clearly. Okay, in this case, there's not really any signs of corrosion. There's maybe some areas of paint that have been touched up already, so we can see that the crew are on top of this. And then again, we can just see the rating, the summary here at the top. And again, it's aligned. So this is that 80% of cases where, let's say, the objective rating from Kai is kind of reinforcing the fact that your crew's assessment here is really accurate, let's say. And again, you can jump into the detail here if you want that full analysis and to focus on these particular areas. But I think this is a good example to highlight where Kai, can provide that reinforcement that actually my crew assessment is, let's say, accurate, is objective, and give you that further level of assurance. And again, further application, being able to actually, see the condition, for instance, of the anodes or these detailed structures, and again, provide that reinforcement that the rating is accurate. And even in other cases, as Rod mentioned, providing that level of objectivity where you can really understand where are issues. So we can see here crew rating of a 4, for instance. Again, by enhancing the image, we can see in this case, actually, there's not really any areas of concern here. There have been some areas maybe that have been touched up and painted already. But really, in this case, we can see it, the coating condition, the structural elements are all in very good condition still. So actually, we can provide an independent assessment here from Kai, rating this as a 5. And in this case, when we look at the preventative actions that are suggested, it's really, there's no major issues now, but it's really, reinforcing this, requiring regular inspections, also providing feedback to the crew so that they can improve the let's say, data that they provide next time. So providing adequate lighting. We know this is obviously challenging in the ballast tank scenario, which is why we provide the Kai site here. And then really continuing this routine maintenance, monitoring the environmental conditions. But in this case, you could say, okay, we don't actually need to kind of further investigate here. We're happy that the tank's in good condition. No further actions are required.
A really good question that's just popped into the chat. So if I want certain topics to be on a higher level of awareness, can I modify the rating?
So first of all, you can modify your rating manually if you want to kind of to have it in your report and how it will be presented to whatever you want in your report. So this is the first thing. So Kai is still playing supportive role. So his opinion is not the main one as it is for now. His opinion is just to support your decisions. This is the first thing. If you don't happy with his assessment for some reason, the best thing you can do, please provide feedback for us. Why do you think this is not precise estimation? Because what we really kind of want to achieve, 100% rate of precision of assessment. This is what our goal. Create a golden standard for AI analysis in maritime industry. So feel free to reach out us if you think that it's not works for you for some reason. So do we have any example of outside of water ballast tank?
Yeah, maybe just Taz, to add to what Rod said there. I think that's a really good question, and in terms of the process, right? Because as we can see here, when we look at a particular inspection, we can see here where with the enhancement and the additional information from Kai, some issues have been identified, and this is really where we can provide that that feedback to the crew as well, and enable this follow-up to be completed, enable these issues to be managed. So within the existing system that we have, it's possible then for the superintendent, based on this additional information, to change the rating. So in this case, maybe they want to change it to a 2 to provide a finding on board and provide some additional comments. So we could say further chipping and painting required to restore coating condition, right? And as is already implemented in our system, this can then create a finding in the system, allow the crew to be notified, to follow up and to take these actions. So Kai is providing this additional information, and then the superintendent can make their assessment and then can provide the insights and the feedback to the crew to action.
And are we able to kind of increase Kai's awareness of certain things? So if we want Kai to focus perhaps more on pitting or more on any cracks in coated surfaces, is that an option for us to kind of pre-warn, pre-train Kai?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where we look very much at the use cases. So although Kai is one assistant, is actually trained and, let's say, refined based on specific use cases, because this is obviously one of the superpowers of the superintendents, is that obviously they are dealing with a large amount of different types of inspection, different issues, and they provide different expertise in different cases. So let's say how they assess the let's say the inspection and maintenance of the LSA and FFE on board is very different to how we look at these structural inspections, for instance. And this is where we tailor Kai based on the specific, let's say, items or on board that are being inspected and the issues that may result and the follow-ups that may be required. So it's tailored based on the type of inspection. And this is something that we set up with an individual customer based on the use case that they're trying to achieve or the problem that they're trying to solve using Kaiko.
Nice one, amazing, thank you.
Yeah, so maybe moving on a bit. So we looked in a lot of detail there at the ballast tank inspections. As we mentioned, this is very use case focused and being informed by the current implementations of Kaiko and the use cases with our customer. And we've looked, I would say, very much at the micro level there, individual inspections, individual assessments and feedback, etc. But again, when we look at our visualization at the kind of vessel level, we can zoom out and get these insights also at the kind of higher level of the vessel. So when we see this visual representation of the condition, we can see the crew ratings, so the information that was provided by the crew. And again, you can see this summarized for the main deck inspections here, but also for instance, ballast tanks, cargo holds, depending on the use case that it's set up. And we can then, using the toggles here, see the assessment by Kai. And I think what's most important here is being able to see the combined assessment. So really here seeing, let's say, whether the issue has been summarized by the crew on board or by Kai, really allowing you to have that kind of, as it were, worst case scenarios. You can see the lowest rating and understand where the issues might arise. And when you focus on any specific area on board the deck, you can see very easily the assessment by the crew and the assessment by Kai. So you can see where these are aligned, or maybe, for instance, where the assessment is different. And gives you a very visual way to navigate on the vessel. You can always then see the summary of the inspection that's being completed and jump in to get the further information, the further analysis there. So, there's a huge, rich data set that's sat behind all of this. The idea is to provide the summary at the highest level with the actionable insights for you then to delve into, see where the actions are required. So as we're seeing, this is kind of, let's say, the first implementation of Kai, and really being driven by, let's say, the use cases where we see the most benefit soonest with our existing customers. But as Rod mentioned, this is something that can be trained on lots of different use cases. So this is something that will be further rolled out across the platform to support based on the use cases. So whether we're looking at safety, pre-PSC, Sire 2 inspections, these are all inspections that are currently completed within Kaiko. So we're already implemented on over 1,000 vessels, making these processes more efficient and more effective. And Kai can then be implemented on top of this structured data set to provide that additional level of insights and actions that need to be taken.
Yeah, I want to add a couple of things. So we put two health strands here. You might notice it's the right side. So basically one of them provided by crew, and another one provided by Kai. So you can see that they're almost aligned for this specific vessel. And instead of dealing with email reports or any kind of PDF Word documents, yes, in this file you can have all the data collected from your inspections performed on the board. You can have them in one visualization. And you can have here instant navigation to your issues. You don't have to spend your time to understand where is the problem on this vessel, how I should deal with it, where to pay attention on. It's instant navigation. This is why we kind of so love this visualization and Kai together. They work perfectly fine for our customers. And as well, of course, you can select any date. This is a difference on any date. So a lot of things here automated. Kind of we have different kind of visualization for your issues depending on the aspect you want to explore. For example, job status, another one where you can see which areas were inspected. Basically, yes, you see the data, but what's about discipline? When they performed inspections? Oh, there is a problem. They don't perform inspections. They don't follow the regular schedule. Issue immediately identified from the first screen. You can see it in one of the bars. So basically, this is all what you really need to your workspace when you just open your computer, drinking coffee, exploring what's going on with your vessels.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to mention with this visualization. It's not just showing you the condition that we looked at first, but as Rod mentioned, are the jobs being done on time? Are the crew following that routine inspection, that's been set up for a reason, so we can see that in the status, or even at the most, let's say, basic level, what are the issues that I have on board? So visualizing where those issues lie on board the vessel, and the status of these as well. So are these issues being managed effectively? Where do they lie on board the vessel? What's the next steps for those to make sure that they're managed effectively?
Yeah, in this particular view, for example, we have all the findings ever happened on your vessel visualized, which of them are active, which of them are resolved. So you can see where is your kind of pain points of the vessel, in which particular areas do you have deadline set, do you follow deadline, or it's overdue already. Basically, you see all these details and information in one place. This is the beauty of this visualization.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning that this is just one visualization that we've set up focused on these use cases of main deck inspection and ballast tank or cargo hold inspections. But these, let's say, as we say, the vessel health map can be set up and further refined based on the use cases. So the idea is to always provide the most relevant visualization for the inspection information that's being reported. In other words, to be able to always display this information in a more user-friendly and actionable way. So this was kind of our first iteration based on these use cases. And if we look into more detailed types of inspection, we can add further health maps here that allow you to then better illustrate, as we've seen here, whether it's the ratings, the issues, the status, etc. So you can have all of this information clearly visualized in one screen to allow you to kind of make that more informed assessment and focus on the issues and the actions that need to be taken.
So we have a question from the chat. If I provide, for instance, 5 images in a certain use case, is it then already possible for Kai to convert this into suggestions? Let's say together. Yes, we can do it. Schedule a call with us and we will show you live how we deal with that. So
Amazing.
We're done.
Thank you very much. I think what we've seen today has probably just scratched the surface. I know we've spoken about the kind of the future of Kai and the fact that Kai can learn a lot from the data that's input into it. We are available for questions. We are available to answer any questions that there may be in the interim. But as we've kind of seen, we've had a first-hand insight into the world's first maritime AI assistant that's really been designed to help technical superintendents save time when conducting routine tasks on board vessels and provide real-time data and insights that are easy to understand and act upon, ensuring that they can make informed decisions and address the most critical issues on board. I think I'll probably ask one final question of both of you before we wrap up. But what's next for Kai? What's the thing that we would want Kai to do next?
So we don't want to announce a lot of things we want to introduce we're dealing with, but basically we want him to be much more smarter, much more precise, and kind of scale his capabilities to not just treating vessel, but treating safety items, assessing them, because maritime industry, it's all about not just about delivering goods. Yes, it's about safety as well. It's equally important topic for us, and we want to make sure that Kai really understands everything in the condition of all the safety items. It's a challenge for us, but we work in this direction as well. Kind of some of the very specific tasks like maintenance planning related to the kind of painting activities. How much paint should I offer? So what is the corroded area in square meters on my vessel? Reported what I have from pictures reported by crews. How can I summarize it automatically and have this information before planning any kind of maintenance activity? This is what we want to increase, enhance in how Kai works, and of course, the next level of summary, because we want him to have an opinion on the vessel condition, because this is a very annoying question for any technical superintendent. What is the condition of the vessel now today? I want to know it, and we want to summarize everything what we have, to have it in a proper way, like a real technical superintendent do for cargo owners, for vessel owners. This request might happen any day. So, and we want to make sure that our system delivers everything required for this stuff. Much more things in my head, but I'm not sure that it's too early to announce them. It's better to demonstrate.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think that summary is really important, because you have all of this data being provided on a regular basis, and obviously currently superintendents are maybe visiting the vessel twice a year and make their assessment based on that. But I think now with Kai having this ability to generate that report and supplement the, let's say this superintendent's inspection with all of this crew information, allows them at that time to really provide an accurate assessment of the vessel's condition, but not have to spend hours trawling through the data, emailing back and forth with the vessel, but really directly on the Kaiko platform, have these insights, have that summary ready based on the latest information to share with the, whether it's with their fleet manager or even with other parts of the organization or third parties as well.
Amazing. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Rod. So I think in short, watch this space. Thank you both for the insights and for sharing your knowledge and taking us through Kai today. As we mentioned throughout the webinar itself, Kaiko System exists to digitize frontline technical operations and standardize the maritime data set at scale. And I think it's safe to say that we are just scratching the surface here. As Kai learns, as Kai grows and gets better and more efficient, there'll be more and more to show you. I'll leave you with this. How long would it take you to analyze 20,000 data points? I think, as you've probably seen today, I can do it in less than 30 seconds. If you think you can beat me, I will buy you a drink. But if you want to know how we can do it and to get your hands on Kai yourself and play around with the platform a little bit, visit www.kaikosystems.com/demo for more information, and one of the team will be in touch. Once again, thank you for joining our webinar today, the first in a series on Kai. I think you'll agree that the insights that we gained from this webinar are immense, and really excited to kind of see and hear the take from Nick and Rod on the current state of the maritime industry and how AI such as Kai will affect it in the future. My name is Taz Bachi. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you on the next one.